A lion doesn't have to roar to remind the jungle who's king. And the most dangerous people? They rarely speak at all. Imagine walking into any room, and the energy shifts. Not because you're loud, not because you're trying to prove something, but because your presence says everything. In this video, I'll show you 7 timeless strategies used by history's most unshakable leaders, so you can command respect, silence chaos, and become untouchable, without saying a single word. Stay to the end, because the last strategy will make people think twice before they ever cross you again. And in this video, we're going to uncover 7 timeless strategies drawn from that ancient wisdom, designed not to make you louder, but stronger. Not to make you feared by force, but respected by silence. We'll explore how to control your emotions like a warrior, build a presence that speaks without sound, and move with intention so powerful it shakes those around you without ever saying a word. So if you're ready to stop reacting, stop explaining, and start embodying quiet power, let's begin with the first strategy. Master your emotions. 1. Master your emotions, the silent weapon of power. Imagine this. You're in a tense situation. Someone is trying to provoke you, push your buttons, drag you into a storm of emotion. Most people would react, snap back, defend themselves, lash out in frustration. But you stay calm, still, in control. That stillness, that unshakable calm, that's real power. The greatest form of dominance doesn't come from shouting louder or moving faster. It comes from mastering yourself, especially when the pressure rises. And in a world filled with emotional outbursts, the person who keeps their composure becomes a mystery and a threat. Why emotions are a battleground. Your emotions are the first target your enemies will try to hit. Why? Because they know that once they control how you feel, they can control how you react. They want to see you flinch, explode, or defend. That reaction becomes the opening they need to dominate you. But Stoic philosophy flips the entire strategy. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of lashing out, you breathe. You remove the fuel from their fire. And when your enemy can no longer predict or manipulate you emotionally, they feel powerless. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, said it best. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Think about that. True strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how calmly you can withstand the hit and choose not to respond in kind. The trap of emotional reactivity. There's a dangerous illusion most people fall for, that reacting emotionally somehow proves strength. But that's not power. That's instinct. And instincts, while natural, are predictable, and predictability is a weakness. If someone knows they can get you to rage with just a few words or a well-timed insult, they own you. They don't need to fight you. They just need to pull the right emotional lever. Every time you let someone provoke you, you're surrendering control. You're playing into their hands. But the moment you decide to stay calm, you shift the power dynamic. They realize they can't reach you. And what they can't reach, they begin to fear. A real-life story of emotional mastery. Let me tell you a true story about a man named Thomas. He worked in a high-pressure office where one of his colleagues had it out for him, subtle digs, passive-aggressive comments, public challenges meant to undermine him. At first, Thomas reacted. He tried to stand up for himself. He pushed back, but every time he did, it fed his rival's strategy. The more emotional Thomas became, the more the other man gained influence. Then one day, Thomas made a choice. He stopped reacting. He practiced calm indifference. He didn't flinch when insulted. He didn't argue when challenged. He didn't explain himself when misrepresented. He just stayed still. The shift was immediate. His rival lost power. The provocations stopped, not because the other man changed, but because Thomas did. He removed the emotional payoff. And in doing so, he won without saying a word. Stoic techniques for mastering your emotions. So how do you train this level of composure? It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about understanding and managing them. Here are 3 key practices to develop emotional mastery. 1. Know your triggers. Identify what makes you react. Is it disrespect? Is it being ignored? Is it public embarrassment? Self-awareness is the first step to taking back control. If you know your emotional weak spots, you can prepare for them. You become harder to shake. 2. Use the pause. The Stoics practiced something called the moment of pause. Before reacting to anything, pause. Take a breath. Ground yourself. This split-second delay between stimulus and response is where your power lies. That's the difference between reacting and choosing. 3. Reframe the attack. Understand this. When someone tries to provoke you, it says more about them than it does about you. Their insult is a reflection of their own insecurity, fear, or need for control. Reframe their attack as a sign of their weakness, not yours, and suddenly, it loses its power. Why your calmness is terrifying. There is nothing more unsettling to an aggressor than someone they cannot provoke. That silent calm, that detached focus, it forces people to look inward and question their own behavior. It creates doubt. And doubt, when left unresolved, turns into fear. Your calmness becomes a weapon, not a loud one, not a flashy one, but one that silently disarms and destabilizes. And this isn't about faking stillness, it's about building inner peace so solid that no one can shake it. That's what Marcus Aurelius meant. That's what the Stoics lived for. Final thought. Inner peace is your power. In a world full of chaos, where people are addicted to emotional drama, your calm presence stands out like a mountain in the storm. Your enemies won't know how to deal with it. They won't know how to read you. And eventually, they'll realize something deeply unsettling. You're not controlled by them. You're not controlled by circumstances. You're not even controlled by your own impulses. You've mastered yourself, and that makes you untouchable. 2. Maintain an unshakable presence, the power that speaks without sound. There's a kind of presence that doesn't shout, doesn't demand, and doesn't even need to explain itself, yet, when it enters a room, everything changes. The air tightens, conversations pause, eyes subtly shift, people feel something they can't explain. They sense gravity. They feel power. But not the kind of power that brags or boasts. No, this is silent power. The kind that comes from deep self-assurance. The kind that makes people listen, even when you say nothing at all. This is what it means to maintain an unshakable presence. The power of silent confidence. We've all met someone who wasn't the loudest, the flashiest, or the most charismatic in the traditional sense, yet, somehow, everyone took them seriously. People respected them, not because they forced respect, but because they embodied it. What makes someone like that so powerful? It starts with something deeper than words: posture, movement, silence, and calm certainty. These subtle cues send a message louder than any speech. I know who I am. I don't need your approval. This is intimidating not because it's aggressive, but because it's unshakable. In a world where most people crave validation, the person who doesn't seek it becomes a mystery, and mystery creates both curiosity and fear. Posture, energy, and the psychology of presence. The way you carry yourself speaks volumes. Whether you realize it or not, your body tells people how to treat you before you even open your mouth. When you walk into a room with your head held high, shoulders relaxed, eyes forward, not in arrogance, but with presence, people take notice. This is not about trying to appear dominant. It's about being rooted in who you are, and allowing that to radiate outward through your movement and energy. People unconsciously scan for signals. Is this person comfortable in their own skin? Do they need attention, or do they command it naturally? Are they reactive, or are they centered? The answers to these questions don't come from talking. They come from how you stand, how you walk, how you exist. The Stoic way. Stillness as strength. The Stoics understood that the most powerful force in the room isn't noise, it's control. Control over your thoughts, control over your reactions, control over your presence. Lao Tzu once said, "Silence is a source of great strength." In silence, you reveal the most intimidating truth. You are not moved by external chaos. You are still, grounded, focused. And when people can't shake your energy, they start to question their own. Your stillness becomes a mirror, reflecting back their noise, their insecurity, their need for control. You don't have to fight for dominance. Your calmness already claimed it. Confidence without arrogance is unstoppable. There is a fine line between arrogance and unshakable presence, and the difference lies in intention. Arrogance needs others to see it. Presence doesn't care who's watching. When you truly know your worth, you don't need to prove anything. You're not trying to be better than anyone else. You're simply standing in your truth. That quiet assurance is magnetic. It doesn't repel, it draws people in. And the irony is, the less you try to impress, the more impressive you become. Remember this line. Confidence without arrogance is intimidating. Because it's rare, and what's rare commands attention. A story of presence in action. Let me tell you about someone I once knew. His name was Ethan. Ethan wasn't loud. He didn't dominate conversations or walk with theatrical flair. But whenever he entered a room, something changed. People quieted down. Conversations shifted, not out of fear, but out of respect. He stood tall, but relaxed. His gestures were slow, intentional. He made eye contact, not to assert power, but to connect. And when he did speak, people listened, not because he was loud, but because they wanted to hear what he had to say. One time, in a heated meeting at work, everyone was talking over each other, opinions flying, voices rising. Ethan sat quietly, just listening, no reaction, no attempt to interrupt. And then, when the room finally slowed down, he said just one sentence, calm, concise, decisive, and that one line ended the debate. Why? Because his presence gave weight to his words. He didn't waste energy on proving himself. He let his energy speak for him. How to build an unshakable presence. Now you might be wondering, how do I build that kind of presence? How do I become someone who doesn't have to raise their voice to command a room? Here are 3 essential practices. 1. Master your posture. The way you hold yourself is the first thing people notice. Stand tall. Keep your spine straight, shoulders relaxed, chest open, chin level, not tilted down in submission or up in arrogance. This simple shift signals, I am grounded. I am here. I belong. Your posture sets the tone before you say a word. 2. Move with intention. Stop rushing. Don't fidget. Every movement should be purposeful, whether it's sitting down, turning your head, or walking across the room. When you move with intention, you show that you're in control, not just of your body, but of your mind. In a fast, frantic world, slowness is power. 3. Embrace the power of silence. You don't need to fill every silence. Let it breathe. When someone asks a question, pause before answering. When you're in conversation, listen more than you speak. People will lean in, eager to hear what you'll say next, not because you're louder, but because you're quieter, and your silence has meaning. Presence is not performance. A mistake many people make is thinking presence is about acting a certain way. It's not. Presence isn't about trying, it's about being. Being comfortable in who you are. Being rooted in your values. Being silent when it counts and speaking only when it matters. It's not about dominance. It's about stability. And in a chaotic world, nothing is more attractive, or more feared, than someone who can't be moved. What makes presence so fearsome to enemies? So why does presence make your enemies fear you? Because they can't figure you out. They rely on emotional cues, verbal clues, body language to predict, control, or attack. But when you are silent, centered, unreadable, they don't know where to strike. They feel like they're boxing with shadows. You become someone they can't shake, can't corner, can't manipulate, and that uncertainty breeds fear. It tells them, this person is not to be messed with. Your presence is your power. At the end of the day, the loudest person in the room isn't the most powerful. It's the one who doesn't need to speak to be heard. The one who stands still while everyone else scrambles. The one who walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere, just by being there. That can be you. But it starts with knowing your worth. Standing tall, moving with intention, speaking only when needed, and most of all, embracing the silence that makes you unforgettable. Because in a noisy world full of distraction, your stillness becomes your strength. 3. Let your actions speak. The Stoic power of quiet consistency. In a world overflowing with talkers, it's easy to get lost in noise. Everyone's got plans. Everyone's got opinions. Social media is packed with people telling you what they're about to do, what they believe, what they stand for. But let's be honest, words are cheap. Talk can be manipulated, promises can be broken, intentions can be faked. Action? That's a whole different story. Because action is real, it's measurable, it doesn't lie, and when it's consistent, disciplined, and aligned with purpose, it speaks louder than any voice ever could. Why words have lost their weight? We live in a culture that rewards those who talk fast, sell dreams, and speak confidently, even if there's no substance behind it. You've seen it. People announcing their goals before taking a single step. Posting about their hustle before they've earned a single win. Promising change with no intention of doing the hard work. But Stoic wisdom teaches something radically different. Don't talk about your values. Live them. Don't announce your plan. Build it. Don't explain yourself. Let your life become the explanation. This is what separates the disciplined from the dreamers, the doers from the talkers, the truly powerful from the merely loud. The Stoic view. Deeds over dialogue. The Stoics, Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, didn't believe in unnecessary noise. To them, power was demonstrated through action. If you had to explain your virtues, they weren't being lived. If you had to announce your strength, it probably wasn't real. Epictetus famously said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That's the core of this principle. Let your life be the message. Let your results speak the truth. Discipline is louder than talk. Discipline isn't flashy. It's not entertaining. It doesn't get applause in the moment. But it gets results, and that's where real respect comes from. Every day you show up. Every morning you commit. Every sacrifice you make without complaining. That's your message to the world. And the best part? You don't have to explain it. People will feel it. They'll see the early mornings, the quiet progress, the consistency, and while others are busy promoting, you'll be progressing. They'll wonder how you moved so far ahead without ever announcing it. And the answer will be simple. You let your actions speak. A story that proves the point. Let me tell you about someone I once knew. We'll call him Jack. Jack was always full of ambition. He talked constantly about the things he was going to achieve. He had a plan for everything: career goals, fitness targets, business ideas. He made bold declarations in front of friends, coworkers, even strangers. At first, people admired his energy. They listened. They encouraged him. But months passed, and nothing changed. No real progress, just more talk. Eventually, people stopped taking him seriously, not because they disliked him, but because he never followed through. His words had become hollow. Then one day, something shifted. Jack stopped talking. He disappeared from social media. He stopped sharing every goal and started acting in silence. No more announcements, just early mornings, late nights, sweat, repetition. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, his life began to change. His body transformed, his work improved, his business idea became a reality. And without ever saying a word, he gained the respect he had once tried to demand with noise. That's the power of letting your actions speak. People may doubt your words, but they can't deny your results. Why quiet progress is so effective? Here's the truth. People are watching. Even when they're not saying anything, they're observing. They're watching how consistent you are, how disciplined you remain when no one's clapping, how well you execute when there's no spotlight. And that's why letting your actions speak is so effective. It's not just about staying humble, it's about becoming undeniable. When your work speaks for itself, no one can talk over it, no one can deny it. It becomes truth that stands taller than any opinion. The formula: consistency plus integrity equals presence. Let's break it down into two essential ingredients. 1. Consistency. You don't have to make huge leaps every day. You just have to keep showing up. Small efforts, done repeatedly, outlast bursts of motivation. Want respect? Be consistent. Want power? Be consistent. Want freedom? Be consistent. Momentum doesn't come from intensity. It comes from repetition, from staying the course, from refusing to quit when things get hard or boring. 2. Integrity. You become powerful when your actions align with your values. Not just once, but repeatedly. When people know that what you say matches what you do, they trust you, even if you say very little. Integrity builds quiet influence, the kind that spreads without force, the kind that earns respect without demand. Stop explaining. Start demonstrating. You don't need to explain your hustle. Your discipline will explain it. You don't need to justify your choices. Your results will justify them. You don't need to impress people. Your consistency will impress them. And you don't need to argue for your beliefs. Live them. The way you carry yourself. The way you work, the way you respond to setbacks, that's all the explanation you need. What happens when you let actions speak? Here's what starts to shift when you make this your standard. People begin to take you seriously because you've proven that you're serious. Enemies become hesitant because they realize they can't predict your next move. Friends begin to admire you, not for what you say, but for who you've become. And most importantly, you build self-respect, because deep down, you know you're living with purpose, not pretending for approval. That's real power. That's Stoic strength. The silent revolution of doing. We're living in a time where being loud is mistaken for being right. Where confidence is faked, and followers are mistaken for character. But if you're building something real, if you're living with integrity, discipline, and focus, you don't need to participate in that game. Let others chase attention. You chase mastery. Let others perform. You produce. Let others debate. You deliver. And when the results come, and they will, they'll speak so loudly, you'll never have to raise your voice. Your life is the message. At the end of the day, your legacy won't be what you said. It won't be your promises, or your declarations, or how many motivational quotes you posted. It will be what you did. Did you build something with your time? Did you live your principles in real life? Did you stay disciplined even when no one was watching? Did you grow quietly while others shouted? If the answer is yes, then your actions have already said everything that needed to be said. You didn't have to speak to be heard. You let your life do the talking, and the world listened. 4. Never overreact to insults. The Stoic art of emotional mastery. Insults are a test, a challenge to your composure, a temptation to abandon your peace and fall into someone else's emotional trap. And most people fail that test. They react, they defend, they fire back, they let a few careless words disrupt their entire internal world. But here's the truth. Reacting to insults gives away your power. It's handing the steering wheel of your emotions to someone else, someone who may not even deserve your attention, let alone control over your inner state. In the world of Stoic philosophy, this is one of the greatest mistakes you can make. Why your reaction matters more than the insult itself. Epictetus, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, taught that we don't control what happens to us, but we do control how we respond. His words echo through time. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about that. The insult isn't the problem. The insult has no real power. It's your reaction that gives it power. The moment you let someone else's words rattle you, offend you, or pull you out of character, you've handed them a victory. You've given them influence over your state of mind. And that's exactly what they wanted. Insults are emotional bait. Understand this. When someone insults you, they're baiting you. They want to pull you into their chaos. They want to make you lose your cool so they can feel dominant, superior, or simply entertained. But here's the paradox. They lose the moment you don't bite. When you meet insult with indifference, you reveal your strength. You prove that your self-worth is not tied to their opinion. You show them they're insignificant to your peace. And that, more than any insult, destroys them. Because they can't affect you. And what can't be affected becomes feared. Indifference. The most powerful response. Indifference isn't weakness. It's not passivity or avoidance. It's not pretending you don't care. It's choosing not to be controlled. It's the conscious decision to hold your ground, to stay in your center, and to let others reveal their own immaturity without letting it disrupt your balance. Indifference says, "Your words don't define me. Your anger isn't mine to carry. Your need for attention doesn't earn my energy." This kind of stillness creates a psychological shift. Your enemy becomes confused. They don't know how to deal with someone who won't play their game. Their weapon, insult, suddenly becomes useless. And now, you have the upper hand. A story of Stoic strength in action. Let me share a story about a woman named Linda. Linda worked in a high-pressure corporate environment. One of her colleagues, a man threatened by her quiet competence, began to target her with subtle insults. He'd make snide comments in meetings, undermine her ideas, and joke about her behind her back. At first, Linda did what most people do. She tried to defend herself. She responded to the jabs, clarified her position, even argued back. But each time she did, he smiled, because that's what he wanted. Her reaction gave him validation, power, and attention. Then something changed. Linda started studying Stoicism. She realized that reacting to this man was feeding him, not stopping him. So, she stopped. The next time he insulted her in a meeting, she didn't even flinch. No expression, no defense, no comeback, just calm, focused silence. And it was like a mirror had been held up to his face. His smirk faded, his energy shifted, because he no longer had control. Over time, his attacks diminished. Eventually, they stopped altogether. Not because he became a better person, but because she stopped giving him the fuel. Linda didn't win with louder words. She won with calm indifference. Why most people react, and why you shouldn't. Most people are trained, by culture, ego, and insecurity, to respond immediately. Someone insults you, and the world tells you, defend yourself. Don't let them talk to you like that. Clap back or lose respect. But here's the irony. Reacting doesn't gain you respect. It shows your insecurity. Because if you're truly secure in who you are, you don't need to prove it to anyone, especially not to someone throwing verbal garbage your way. Silence, when it's calm and rooted, sends a clearer message. I'm not on your level. Your insult says more about you than it ever will about me. You're not important enough to disturb my peace. How to train yourself not to react. This isn't easy. It takes practice. But emotional discipline is like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it. Here's how you begin. 1. Recognize the trigger. The moment someone insults you, your body will react before your mind does. Your heart rate might spike. Your face might flush. You'll feel the urge to strike back. Catch it. Name it. This is the moment they want control. Just that awareness creates space for choice. 2. Breathe and delay. Take one deep breath. Even 1 second of pause gives you the power to choose a better response, or no response at all. You don't have to react. You don't have to win the argument. Sometimes, walking away in silence is the victory. 3. Reframe the insult. Ask yourself, what does this insult really say? Chances are, it reveals more about the other person's insecurity, jealousy, or need for control than it ever says about you. When you stop personalizing insults, they lose their sting. The Stoic lens. What really matters. Stoicism teaches us that our emotions are within our control, and the actions of others are not. So why give power to things outside your control? An insult is an opinion. That's all. And opinions are not truths. They are projections, usually from people who don't even know the real you. Let them talk. Let them project. Let them reveal their character. You stay grounded. You rise above. You maintain your dignity, not for them, but for yourself. Because the real battle is always internal. What happens when you stop reacting? When you consistently meet insults with calmness and indifference, several things start to happen. People stop trying to provoke you, because it no longer works. You gain respect, not by force, but by emotional control. You protect your energy, because you're no longer wasting it on battles that don't deserve you. You become feared, because no one knows what gets to you anymore. And what can't be touched, can't be controlled. The final power move: emotional detachment. Being emotionally detached doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop allowing every feeling to control your behavior. You can feel hurt and choose silence. You can feel angry and walk away. You can feel misunderstood and remain still. That's power. That's maturity. That's stoicism in action. At the end of the day, people will say what they want. You can't control their mouths, but you can control your mind. Your strength isn't in how sharp your comeback is. Your strength isn't in how loud you defend yourself. Your strength is in how calm you stay when they try to pull you into their storm. When you learn to respond to insults with indifference, you take away their power and amplify your own. So the next time someone tries to pull you down with words, remember this: you don't need to fight them. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to stand still and let your silence be the loudest thing in the room. 5. Control what they know about you. The power of strategic mystery. In a world obsessed with oversharing, constant updates, and full transparency, keeping your cards close to your chest has become a rare and powerful strategy. People today are quick to share everything: their goals, emotions, failures, struggles, relationships, insecurities. But here's what most don't realize. The more people know about you, the more they can use against you. If someone knows your weaknesses, your fears, your emotional triggers, then they can manipulate you, influence your decisions, shake your confidence. But when they know nothing, when your motives, feelings, and vulnerabilities are hidden, you become unreadable. And what's unreadable becomes unpredictable. And what's unpredictable becomes dangerous. The danger of being too transparent. Most people think that being open is a sign of honesty and strength. They believe that by revealing their thoughts, goals, and feelings, they create deeper connections and earn respect. And while there's truth to that in trusted relationships, in the game of power, it's a weakness. Because the moment people know what drives you, they can control you. They know what to promise, what to threaten, what to take away. They know what frustrates you. They know what scares you. They know what you're trying to hide. And all of that knowledge becomes leverage. Stoics understood this long ago. They taught that your peace must be protected, and sometimes that means protecting your privacy. The strategy of mystery. Sun Tzu, the ancient Chinese general and strategist, once said, "Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak." This isn't about deception, it's about controlling perception. You don't have to show your strength to be strong. You don't have to broadcast your intentions to be powerful. You don't need everyone to understand you, especially your enemies. In fact, the less they understand, the more they fear. Mystery forces others to guess, to hesitate, to second-guess their assumptions, and that hesitation gives you the upper hand. Why mystery is feared? When someone doesn't know what you're thinking or planning, they begin to project. They fill in the blanks with their own fears and insecurities. What if they know more than they're letting on? What if they're planning something bigger than I imagined? What if they're pretending to be calm, but they're actually ahead of me? That uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety weakens judgment. The more mysterious you are, the more power you have, not by force, but by psychological edge. And in any confrontation, emotional, social, or professional, that edge can change everything. A real story. From oversharing to unshakable control. Let me tell you about someone named Chris. Chris was always open with his coworkers. He believed that honesty would build trust. He shared everything, his goals, his personal struggles, the challenges he faced at work. At first, people seemed to appreciate his openness. But over time, things began to shift. Chris started noticing subtle digs. People would bring up his insecurities in meetings. They'd use his weaknesses against him. His transparency made him vulnerable, and they took advantage of it. Then one day, Chris made a decision. He would stop revealing everything. He didn't lie, but he stopped volunteering information. He answered questions with calm simplicity. He no longer explained his feelings or announced his plans. Slowly, things changed. People could no longer predict his moves. They couldn't get under his skin. They stopped trying to manipulate him because there was nothing to grab onto. His quiet confidence unnerved them. His unpredictability gave him strength. And soon, he was no longer seen as the easy target. He was seen as a leader. How to control what others know about you. You don't need to become a closed-off robot. This isn't about being fake. It's about being intentional with what you reveal and to whom. Here are 3 rules to follow. 1. Guard your weaknesses. We all have weaknesses, but not everyone needs to know them. Keep your emotional triggers, insecurities, and struggles to yourself, especially in environments where trust hasn't been earned. Ask yourself, can this person use this information against me? If the answer is yes, don't share. 2. Speak with precision, not excess. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every question deserves a detailed answer. You can be honest without being exposed. If someone asks about your future plans, give a general idea, but keep the full picture to yourself. Silence isn't emptiness, it's control. 3. Reveal through action, not intention. People trust what they see more than what they hear. Instead of telling them what you're going to do, just do it. Let them see the results. It's hard to manipulate someone who speaks through outcomes, not promises. The myth of total openness. We've been sold a lie, that being completely open with everyone makes us more authentic. But that kind of openness can also leave you exposed, emotionally drained, and easily influenced. Authenticity is not the same as vulnerability. You can be real without revealing everything. You can be honest without being obvious. Keep something for yourself. That inner space that belongs to no one else. That's your power center. And the moment you protect it, you stop being pulled by others' expectations. The Stoic approach to privacy. The Stoics valued inner control above all else. And they knew that too much external exposure leads to inner chaos. When everyone knows your goals, they feel entitled to critique them. When everyone knows your emotions, they feel entitled to manipulate them. When everyone knows your plans, they feel empowered to interfere. But when you move in silence, the noise of others can't reach you. You live for yourself, not for their reaction. You protect your energy. You become immune to drama. And that immunity is what gives you peace. The psychological shift that happens when you're mysterious. Here's what starts to happen when you control what people know about you. They stop predicting you. Because you don't reveal your next move. They stop testing you. Because they don't know how you'll react. They stop disrespecting you. Because they can't find your weak spot. Your mystery creates space for respect. And over time, it builds an aura. A sense that you're not to be underestimated. What you withhold can be more powerful than what you share. Think of powerful figures, true leaders, thinkers, warriors. They rarely talk more than they need to. They're selective, intentional, mysterious. Why? Because what you don't say often speaks louder than what you do. Your silence makes others pay attention. Your stillness makes them guess. And your privacy gives you freedom. Freedom from outside influence. Freedom from emotional manipulation. Freedom to move without interference. The person who controls their own narrative, who decides what to reveal and what to protect, holds the real power. Let people wonder about you. Let them guess. Let them assume. You don't need to explain. You don't need to announce. You don't need to justify. You only need to move with purpose. Protect your energy. And remember. Appear weak when you are strong. And strong when you are weak. Sun Tzu. Because power isn't always about being seen. Sometimes, it's about being felt, even in silence. 6. Make power moves in silence. The undeniable strength of quiet execution. Success doesn't need a drumroll. It doesn't require an announcement. It doesn't wait for permission or validation. In fact, the most powerful moves, the ones that change your life and redefine your trajectory, are often made in total silence. We live in a world obsessed with visibility. Everyone wants to show, to prove, to broadcast their next big step. But Stoic wisdom flips that impulse on its head. Powerful people move quietly, they build without noise, and they let their success do all the talking. The problem with announcing your moves. There's a dangerous habit that too many people fall into, talking about what they're going to do before they've actually done anything. I'm starting a business. I'm going to change my life. I'm finally cutting off toxic people. I'll prove them all wrong. It feels good to say those things. It feels like progress, but in reality, you've done nothing except invite the world into your plans. And the moment your plans are out in the open, two things happen. 1. You open the door to resistance. People begin to question you, discourage you, challenge your vision, or even try to sabotage it. 2. You give away your energy. Talking about your goals tricks your brain into thinking you've already made progress. And that feeling can rob you of the discipline to actually do the work. Why silent progress is so powerful. There's unmatched strength in keeping your intentions private and letting your results speak for themselves. When you work quietly, you avoid interference. You sidestep judgment. You move faster because you're not constantly defending or explaining yourself. This is the philosophy of Stoicism in motion. Do not explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus. Don't talk about how disciplined you are. Just be disciplined. Don't tell people what you're planning. Just deliver. Don't warn your enemies about the storm. Become the storm, silently. The unseen foundation of greatness. All great achievements begin in silence. Think of an iceberg. Only a small part is visible above water. The mass, the strength, lies beneath the surface, unseen. Your preparation, your sacrifices, your midnight grind, that's the hidden work. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because no one sees it coming. By the time they notice, it's already too late. You've built something undeniable, something they can't criticize because it speaks for itself. And you did it without saying a word. A real story. From talk to triumph. Let me introduce you to someone I knew. We'll call her Emma. Emma was the type to constantly announce her next move. Whether it was fitness goals, career changes, or new business ventures, she told everyone what she was planning. At first, her friends cheered her on. But after a while, they started noticing a pattern. Emma talked, but rarely followed through. She meant well, she had big dreams, but she was leaking her energy by talking about them before they were real. And slowly, people stopped taking her seriously. One day, she had a realization. Her words had become noise. She was losing power by overexposing her path. So, she made a quiet decision. No more announcements, just action. She stopped posting. She stopped explaining. She got to work. In the silence, something shifted. Her results started showing. Her confidence grew, not from likes or comments, but from discipline. And when she finally emerged, fit, focused, and thriving, no one could deny her anymore. Her transformation didn't need a caption. It was visible in every step she took. She had made power moves in silence, and the results were louder than anything she could have said. Why people talk instead of act? Most people talk because they're afraid of failing silently. They want credit up front. They want support, praise, or reassurance. They want the illusion of progress without the risk of quiet work. But here's the truth. Real growth is quiet. Real success is lonely. Real power doesn't announce itself, it arrives. Complete and undeniable. And those who truly change their lives know this. Silence isn't emptiness, it's focus. The psychology of moving in silence. When no one knows what you're planning, you take away their power to influence you. They can't discourage what they can't see. They can't sabotage what they don't understand. They can't judge a journey they aren't even aware is happening. And that's the ultimate advantage. You're not driven by proving people wrong. You're not reacting to their opinions. You're not distracted by validation. You're driven by purpose, not applause. How to make silent power moves. Want to start building real momentum without broadcasting your every step? Here's how. 1. Keep your goals private until they're real. You don't owe the world an explanation. Let your progress introduce you. When someone asks what you're working on, smile and say, "You'll see." 2. Build in silence. Reveal in completion. Don't show your blueprint, show the building. Let people see the result, not the process. Let your actions be the headline. 3. Use criticism as fuel, not conversation. When you stop explaining yourself, you become immune to judgment. You're too busy building to argue. Their doubt becomes your discipline. 4. Train without applause. The strongest warriors train in private. They don't need an audience to sharpen their sword. You become unstoppable when you no longer need to be seen to be significant. Let results do the talking. There's something uniquely powerful about quiet results. Because results are undeniable. They don't need defense. They don't require interpretation. They don't bend to opinion. When your actions produce outcomes, the world has to listen. Even your enemies go silent when your success stands in front of them. That's not ego. That's execution. Why silence is feared. Here's the truth. Silence makes people uncomfortable, because it creates the unknown. And people fear what they don't understand. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know what's coming. And that fear keeps them guessing, hesitating, second-guessing their own moves. Your silence becomes a shield and a sword. You are calm. You are focused. You are calculating. And that makes you more dangerous than anyone constantly making noise. You owe no one a warning. If you're building something powerful, Remember this. You don't need to warn the world. You don't need to convince the doubters. You don't need to beg for belief. You only need to work in silence and deliver in power. Because when your results arrive, the world will realize what you've been doing all along. And they won't be able to deny it. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The flashiest move is rarely the most effective. The biggest talker is rarely the most dangerous. True power doesn't rush. It doesn't scream. It doesn't explain. It builds. It waits. It strikes, with precision, purpose, and silence. So let them talk. Let them guess. Let them underestimate you. And then show them, without saying a word, what unstoppable really looks like. 7. Be unapologetically yourself. The courage to live without permission. There is a quiet revolution that happens the moment you stop chasing approval and start living in alignment with your truth. When you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. When you stop editing your personality to fit someone else's expectations. When you stop apologizing for being exactly who you are. That moment, right there, that's when your real life begins. Because the most powerful version of you isn't the one who pleases everyone. It's the one who belongs fully to yourself. The trap of seeking approval. Most people spend their entire lives trying to be liked. They measure their worth by how many people nod in agreement. They hide parts of themselves for fear of judgment. They adapt to the crowd. They perform. They conform. But Stoic wisdom saw right through this illusion. The Stoics didn't believe in bending to public opinion. They didn't care for applause or external validation. They believed in living according to virtue, not popularity. And that's the heart of this principle. Be unapologetically yourself, not for attention, but for freedom. Freedom begins with self-acceptance. You'll never be truly free if you're constantly trying to be what others expect. True freedom isn't about doing whatever you want, it's about being who you are without shame. That means saying what you truly believe, even if it's unpopular. Honoring your values, even when they clash with the crowd. Refusing to water yourself down to gain superficial approval. This kind of freedom doesn't require noise. It doesn't seek permission. It simply is. And that's what makes it so powerful and so rare. Why being yourself is so difficult? It sounds simple, just be yourself. But if it were easy, more people would do it. The truth is, being yourself takes courage. Because you risk being misunderstood. You risk being disliked. You risk standing alone. And for many, that's terrifying. But the Stoics taught that peace comes not from the opinions of others, but from living in alignment with your nature. When you betray yourself to belong, you lose both yourself and the respect of others. But when you stand firm in who you are, something remarkable happens. Even if people don't agree with you, they begin to respect you. Even if they don't understand you, they know you're not fake. Even if they walk away, You remain grounded. Because you didn't lose yourself trying to be accepted. A story of authentic strength. Let me share a story about a man named Jake. Jake spent years trying to fit in. At work, he laughed at jokes he didn't find funny. With friends, he avoided sharing his real opinions to keep the peace. He dressed the way others dressed, acted the way others acted, and swallowed his truth in silence. But over time, something began to erode. He started feeling disconnected from himself, anxious, restless, out of alignment. On the outside, he was liked, but on the inside, he was lost. One day, Jake had enough. He made a quiet promise to himself. I'm done pretending. He stopped laughing just to belong. He stopped hiding his ideas in meetings. He started dressing how he wanted, speaking honestly, and living in alignment with his values. And something amazing happened. Yes, some people fell away. Some judged. Some were uncomfortable. But others admired him. They were drawn to his authenticity. Not because he was trying to impress them, but because he wasn't. Jake didn't become louder. He became clearer. And that clarity gave him a kind of magnetic confidence that only authenticity can create. The Stoic perspective on living authentically. The Stoics believed in living by principle, not popularity. To them, the goal wasn't to be liked, it was to be virtuous. That meant being honest, even when it was inconvenient. Courageous, even when it was risky. Just, even when it wasn't rewarded. They believed that a person should act in accordance with their nature, their core values and reasoned judgment, not in reaction to public opinion. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And that's the lesson here. Stop talking about your truth. Stop defending your individuality. Just live it. Why people respect those who don't seek respect. Ironically, the moment you stop trying to win people over is often the moment they start paying attention. Why? Because most people are afraid to be themselves. They're drawn to those who aren't. When you stand in your truth, unapologetically, you send a message. I know who I am. I don't need you to approve of it. That message shakes people, because it reveals their own uncertainty. And those who are secure in themselves will respect your strength. Those who aren't will either try to tear it down, or quietly admire it. Either way, you win. Because you're not playing their game anymore. How to become unapologetically yourself. So how do you build the courage to live in alignment with who you are? Here are 3 guiding principles. 1. Let go of the need to please. You can't please everyone, and you don't need to. Not everyone will understand you. That's okay. You weren't born to be understood. You were born to live truthfully. Ask yourself, would I rather be liked for a lie, or respected for the truth? 2. Reconnect with your values. What do you really believe? What matters most to you? What are you unwilling to compromise? If you don't know your own values, you'll live by someone else's. Write them down. Let them guide your choices. Let them anchor you in moments of doubt. 3. Accept that not everyone will stay. When you stop pretending, some people will leave. Let them. The ones who truly matter will be drawn to your authenticity. And the rest? They were never really aligned with the real you in the first place. It's better to lose fake connections than to lose your true self. Authenticity is a daily practice. Being unapologetically yourself isn't a one-time decision, it's a practice. Every day, you will be tempted to shrink, to perform, to go silent. Every day, you'll be challenged to choose approval over integrity. But every day, you also get the chance to choose you. Not the edited version. Not the filtered version. The full, real, imperfect, powerful version. And that version doesn't apologize for existing. It just exists, boldly, truthfully, and with quiet confidence. At the end of the day, you have two choices. You can live for others and be at their mercy. Or you can live for your truth and be free. You can chase applause, or you can chase purpose. You can wear a mask, or you can walk in your power. The Stoics didn't become legendary by fitting in. They became legends by standing out, quietly, fiercely, and authentically. So here's the truth. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be real. You are here to be aligned. You are here to be free. Be unapologetically yourself, and let the world adjust. The world is full of noise, but the strongest are always the quietest. You now have 7 strategies that can make you unshakable, if you live them. So here's your choice. Keep reacting. Keep explaining. Keep giving away your power. Or master these principles, and let your silence speak for you. If you're ready to become the kind of person no one dares to underestimate, start now, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join thousands already walking this path of silent power. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start today, and let the world feel your presence.